June is recognized as Pride Month, and some are using this time to show their support for the LGBTQ community. But other conversations are happening at the same time about how the current political climate is really raising some safety concerns. Joining us today to have a more in-depth conversation about this is KXAN's Will Dupree with a guest. Will.
Hey there, Jen. Today we have Dr. Karsten Andreessen, who is an associate professor of criminal justice at St. Edward's University here in Austin. Dr. Andreessen, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I do want to point out that some of your research focuses on what's known as the LGBTQ plus panic defense in the justice system, and that really plays into what we're going to talk about today. A rather troubling development happened with one organization in particular making an announcement. The Human Rights Campaign announced it's issuing a national state of emergency for LGBTQ plus people here in the U.S. What do you think led to such a move by that organization?
Well, in the last 5 years, there's a few individuals who have really wanted to turn the clock back on LGBTQIA plus civil rights. That coupled with all of the trauma, I think, from COVID-19, all of the sort of psychological upset we're seeing around that, and with weapon carrying, you have people that are, angry at the LGBTQIA plus community. They are uninhibited and they are carrying firearms. So they were right to make that call, because it is a very frightening time to be an advocate or to be an ally or to be LGBTQIA plus.
Speaking about the threats facing the community now, the Department of Homeland Security issued a bulletin just 2 weeks ago that warned of likely targets of political violence, and it specifically mentioned individuals or events associated with the LGBTQ plus community. That would seem to include things like pride events, which are well underway here just all across Central Texas, including some this weekend. Why is this coming up on the radar now of those tracking terrorism threats here in the U.S.?
Well, I think Pride it's a wonderful month. I mean, it is a fantastic time, and we really get to celebrate and tell people that we are there with them, that we support them, and that absolutely enrages people. They are mad that this is happening, and they want to turn back the clock. And I think it becomes a target for individuals that want to make people feel unsafe, and then for a smaller number of individuals who want to harm individuals.
And finally, while we have you, Dr. Andreessen, here in Texas, Governor Abbott recently signed a law that bans certain health care options for transgender minors. There are some other restrictions that are on the table that he is likely to sign next. What role do you think those efforts will have on threats targeting the community?
I think that will definitely increase the threats that are targeting that community. People who are trans, they exist. I mean, this legislation is trying to say that they don't exist, and then it casts people that want to help them, it casts their parents and their families as people that are trying to somehow mutilate their children, or who are trying to victimize these children, when nothing could be farther from the truth. So, and we've already seen, there was an individual from Comfort, Texas, who threatened a physician in Boston. So we are seeing what this kind of legislation can lead to.
All right. Well, Dr. Karsten Andreessen, thank you so much again for taking time today to answer these questions and provide some light on this subject.
Good deal. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it too.